A video came out a few days ago, and it now has over 500,000 views. And the title of it was "The Silicon Valley Moved to Austin, dot, 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 and then they regretted it." Oh, come on. The Silicon Valley didn't move to Austin, and Austin has never tried to be the next Silicon Valley. We just want to be the best Austin we could be. Now, this video, it was really good with the clickbait. All of the things people were saying were exaggerated and talking it up, and they weren't wrong, but it was just slices of statistics. The reality is, the Austin tech boom didn't just begin 5 years ago. So if you're going to take that attitude and say, look at the boom that happened from 2020 to 2025, and now there's a little bit of leveling off, and that means the end of Austin, then you're just being ridiculous. The Wall Street Journal put out an article 2 weeks ago that was titled "The Reign of Austin as a Tech Hub May Be Over." Well, maybe pigs can fly. Come on. They actually, in that article, didn't really do any research. They took someone else's report, and in the report, it said there was a 1.6% decrease in big tech employment in Austin. Oh my God, stop the presses. A 1% drop in big tech employment. That must be the biggest crash ever, said nobody. 1.6% is hardly worth talking about. And when you couple that with the statistic they decided not to include, which was from 2018 to 2023, big tech employment in Austin rose 44%. I want you to think about that for a minute. You can pick a stat and say anything you want. Oh my gosh, there's been a little drop. It's huge. Or you can tell the whole story. Austin's tech boom didn't start 5 years ago. You can trace it back to the 90s, and you can actually trace back to the 1960s when things started happening that laid the foundation for Austin to become the tech hub that it is today. But to write an article or do a video that really talks about the whole trajectory over the last 5 decades, 6 decades, it's not really going to get a lot of clicks. To say, wow, Austin has slowly grown over the years and then leveled off and then grew and then leveled off and then grew and then leveled off. And then it went crazy in 2020 to 2022 and housing prices blew up and now it's all corrected. No one's going to watch that video. The video I'm talking about, 500,000 views in 4 days. I can promise you this video will not get that many views. In fact, I'm lucky to get like 6 or 10 views if I make a video because I'm not all about clickbait. I don't really care, but I want to set the record straight. There were a couple things in that article that really were just ridiculous in the best sense of the word. And that is they talked about people who came to Austin and didn't like it because it was very hot. In this video I'm referencing, one person said, it's scorching hot for 6 months out of the year and people can't even leave their house. Do any of you think that's real? Now, for 2 months out of the year, it's scorching hot. For another month and a half of the year, it's pretty dang hot. But before you move your family across the country, you might want to do like a 90-second search to find out what the weather is where you're moving. And just because a place doesn't have perfect weather like Southern California doesn't mean great things aren't happening there. I'm going to tell you the truth. I've lived in Austin 34 years, and in the summer when it's really hot, people do go outside. They go to restaurants. They eat outside. Now, granted, the restaurants have misters to cool the air. People go out to the lake. People do all kinds of things. People even play golf in that 105-degree weather. So let's not rule out the future of Austin because it's hot. Texas has been hot for a long time. In fact, 100 years ago, it was hot, and we didn't even have air conditioning. Now we've got a lot of air conditioning. But to say that, oh, well, tech can only work if you're in a perfect weather place. I can only be happy in a perfect weather place really isn't being fair to the rest of the country. There's great things happening in the Midwest, in the Northeast, and the weather there is very cold. So there's great things happening in Florida, and it's really humid. So let's not say, oh, I moved to Austin and it was hot, so I moved back to California. Well, that's not being very resilient because the people who are in Austin, the true Austinites, the ones who've lived here 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 30 years, they've seen the ups and downs and they're resilient. They can handle a little heat. They can handle a little traffic because the city brings a lot of other great things and a lot of opportunities for people who are creative, who are scrappy, who want to work hard, and who have a long-term vision. If you move to a town and say, I was there for 6 months and I couldn't get my startup funded. I didn't like it. Yes, there are people who say this on the comments to these articles and these videos. Maybe, I mean, just maybe your startup was a stupid idea, or maybe you weren't good at pitching it. Or maybe if you stayed for 6 months, you really didn't invest in the community to open the doors that are going to lead you to the right investors. Your startup probably would have failed anywhere. So let's not get caught up in these crazy headlines. Yes, Austin has problems, but so does every other city. We could find people who moved to Los Angeles and didn't like it. We could find people who moved to New York and didn't like it. And we could write whole articles about it. But I think this idea of bashing one place that's not as good as where you live, it really says more about you than it does about the place you're bashing. I moved to Austin in 1991. There were 700,000 people in the greater area. There's now 2.5 million people in the area. So yes, we haven't kept up with the infrastructure. Nobody could. And if you look at what happened from 2020 to 2022 with the housing prices, people were moving here. Housing prices are based on supply and demand. And at the same time, investors were buying up individual houses and they were competing with people who were moving here. So it drove the housing prices up. But if you really look at the cost of an individual house in 2019 in Austin and then 2025, you'll see that it's a little higher in 2025 than it was 6 years ago, which means that the market corrected for a crazy bubble and it's still growing. Now, some people look at the fact that the population of the city of Austin, well, it's not growing as fast as it used to. Right, because we're pretty full. However, a lot of people from out of town and Austinites are moving to Hayes County and Williamson County, to the suburbs that surround Austin. Now, if somebody was to move from Manhattan to Hoboken, none of you would say, oh my gosh, they left New York. It must be the end of New York. Most of the population that has left Austin has moved to the suburbs. And several of our suburbs, like Leander and Georgetown and others, are on the list of like the 25 fastest growing cities in the nation. So Austin still has growth that's happening. Yes, a lot of companies came here and rented or built buildings that they haven't filled yet. But that also has to do with these things take time. So Austin wasn't started 5 years ago. Austin, yes, it is hot. Look it up before you come. And the future of Austin is going to be great because real Austinites, they fight hard to stay here. They fight hard for the community. And real leaders show up over time and they give back to that community. And that's what grew Austin, and that's what the future of Austin is going to be like. So every time you see a headline or a video that says, oh, Austin is so horrible, realize that that might be clickbait because it got you to watch the video. Now, like I said, probably very few people are going to watch this video, but I had to say it. Now, am I a little biased? Sure. I love this town. It's been very good to me. Austin has given me opportunities I wouldn't have found anywhere else over the last 34 years. Plus, I work for a technology organization that our job is to promote the future growth of the area. But take that out. I'm also a very proud Austinite who doesn't like to see people bashing Austin when they're not looking at the whole picture. If you were to look at the growth of Austin just over the last decade, you don't even have to go back 30 years. You're going to see an amazing story. I like to call it the Austin miracle. What's happened in Austin in tech, we're only halfway there. Austin hasn't arrived. We're still a scrappy city that's trying to grow. And I would like to correct everybody who thinks that Austin wants to be the next Silicon Valley. That's not what we want. We want to be Austin. We want to be a place where you can come, you can have a career, you can start a business, you can raise a family, and you can be part of a community where you can pull a chair up to one of the mini tables. Because Austin isn't a cliquey city, or at least not as bad as some places. And we're fighting hard to make sure that we're still a welcoming city. So if you're looking for a place to build over the next decade, 2 decades, 3 decades, Austin might be right for you. It might not be right for you. But don't come for 6 months, decide you don't like it, and then write a manifesto or make a video that says it stinks. I'm not going to make videos that says your city sucks by focusing on a few things. But guess what? Your city has some things that make it suck. But that's not what we're here to talk about. So I just want to set the record straight that Austin is an amazing city whose best years are in front of it. We're only halfway up that mountain, and we are scrappy, we're creative, and real Austinites have an unnatural love affair with this region, and we're going to work hard to make sure that it stays great and it continues to be a place of opportunity.